Alright, welcome to another Beyond the Meta. So today we'll be talking about the three types of deck and how we could sort you out and make your gameplay better. So roughly all decks will fall into one of these three categories. So there's aggro, control, and mid-range. I want you to think of them as like rock, paper, scissors. So aggro would be the rock, control would be the scissors, and mid-range would be the paper. Aggro is rock, obviously aggressive, crack you with a stone. Control is scissors, the surgical, they have very particular plans. And mid-range, they are paper. They very adaptable, they could change shape. So obviously rock beats scissors, scissors beats paper, paper beats rock. Well, covers rock, same thing, right? So let's get into exactly what that means. Firstly, aggro, right? Aggro's goal is to win quick. Constant threats, that is things like Joltik Box, Bolt, Dragapult, Charizard, EX, all those sort of strategies. So, if we take a look at things like Ancient Box as well, we have some small threats, very efficient, quick ways to get to energy and all of that. See 2 energy, the attack could go up, and the strategy is just get your attack off as fast as possible. So you're loading energy early and you're trying to swing as fast as possible. In Pokemon, that's usually Dex attack in the first 2 turns. So that'll be like, ignore names of my decks. These are things that I like. So you're going down the list here. And again, things like Pult. I'm looking for my Region Bolt, but I'm not seeing them. So Region Bolt, Dragapult, that's the Pult with Rare Candy and all that. So they try to get up to Rare Candy and Sparkling Crystal as fast as possible. So that turn 2 swing, and especially Charizard, where using that Rare Candy turn 2, and just going up and just start swinging for prize. They don't care what they hit, they're trying to hit anything and just get to those 6 prizes as fast as possible. So that's basically their strategy, their goal. The strategy is as low and efficient cost as possible. So Charizard actually brings its own energy and has very high damage, so very good. Dragapult tries to Rare Candy and then use Sparkling Crystal, so using only 1 energy to attack, off the races. Raging Bolt tries to just get those energy on Teal Mask and then just discard energy to get them in the grave, so you could see that manual attach and then swing from turn 1. Again, low cost, energy as fast as possible, super slick. Now let's move on to the strengths in aggro. So strengths in aggro is that early game pressure. So because they tend to take those prizes early and attack really quickly, even if they're not taking prizes, the pressure is on because if you can't keep up, they usually just get ahead in the prize race to a point where you can't catch up. So what that means is in Bolt, if Bolt takes 2 prizes early before you even set up or you're able to attack, you're already 2 prizes behind. So if it's a 2 for 2 prize trade, they're already ahead. And if it is they take 4 prizes and you now are about to take 2, donezo. Dragapult, they're taking off your bench, they're taking off your active, they're taking 2 prizes and setting damage up. So they can take a 2 prize and a 3 prize turn, then a 1 prize turn, you're done in 3 attack. Joltik Box, Iron Hands, just 2, 2, 2, maybe a 3, 2, 2, anything like that. So they're just trying to get you down as fast as possible, right? But that leads to some weaknesses. So because they are so focused on that early game and just aggression, they are very, very, very weak to walls as well as removal. So that's why like Ethan is super weak because it's one of those like that try to be aggressive, but it's weak to Dragapult because when he starts putting up that damage, they can't really catch up. Or if you have a wall, something they can't get through, they can't really do anything because they use their resources usually. So this example I'll use here because it's the quickest one. When they use a supporter to get this to attack, they don't have a supporter like boss to like pick target. Or when they pick targets, they can't really accelerate energy. They have to pick one and then they're just trying to get over quickly. And especially if you have a big body in front and they can't cross, or they have to do a couple hits across, they usually fall off. So how to beat them? Basically, you try to prevent those early game attacks or just deny them prizes as much as possible in the early game because their mid game is weak and their late game is especially weak. They tend to run out of gas really, really quick. So I am actually still looking for Raging Bolt because Raging Bolt is the best example of that because after a point of discarding energies, they tend to run out of energies late. I would say is the same for things like Gholdengo, where after discarding 4 and 5 energies and bringing them back, yes, they could try to keep up that mid game, but some of them just keep going and run out of energy pretty quickly. Same thing for the original Roy Moon, where you just go for that gouge early game you're knocking out everything, but then late game you hit points low, so you're just there for the picking. And again, super good against control decks because you don't give them time to set up, but in mid-range decks, by the time you start falling off in terms of damage and power and all of that, they now kicking in. So you might get those first 3 prizes quick, but then when you can't take prizes as quick anymore, the mid-game decks just run you. And that's the thing. So you try to mitigate as much prizes, giving them prizes as early as possible, and just get rid of the threats, so their energy and their card base, and they usually fall apart. So there's the rock. Next, we have the scissors, which is control. They are weak to aggro because their goal is to actually put all the pieces together for late. So that's more the wall decks, United Wings, all those strategies that like try to get rid of your energies and then slowly take the knockouts. So just deny your resources and then try to take the knockouts or mill you out. And of course, those decks that have unique strategies or unique ways to win, or trying to just take a 6 prize turn and that sort of thing, or even just lock you up. So there was a deck before where they used Tsareena EX, the Terra, that used to put you on 38 points, and then there was a wipe you could do with this bird that used to do 30 damage when it attacks. So it put 3 EX Pokemon on 30, then attack and take 6 prizes in 1 turn. But it's a lot of setup, and you'd also use this ice cream. Can't remember its name off the top of my head. I'll try to bring it up on the screen, and it would actually not allow Pokemon with 30 or less hit points to attack. So the point was you get them unable to attack, you make them fill their bench, nothing can attack, they can't actually do damage to you. So now you fully set up, so late game, just crush everything. So yeah, so their strategy is mainly keeping the opponent locked for a while and just get their setup and their engine going for that late game. So again, their strengths, they are great against mid-range because they can outvalue them in the long term. They're not as aggressive, so they may take a couple hits, but remember, mid-ranges are also a bit slower to start than aggro. So by the time they both picking up, yeah, the mid-range will take off first, but then when mid-range start taking off, the control decks might already be established. So that is where you're now trying to set up energy and evolve and all of that, but you already put you down to a point where your setup don't matter because you can't really attack or you're stuck. Because even those decks that increase your retreat cost or lock your Pokemon in, so while they set up, so you could set up but you're not going to win. Yeah, that's the strategy. As for strength, they are good at trying to shut down like mid aggro, meaning not the early aggro, the more mid-range aggro, because they could find their walls and the things to stop you early enough in the game, but not early enough to stop aggro usually. So that's around turn 3 to 5, they'll start setting up their walls or the way to stop you from winning, and then typically like turn 6 to 10, anywhere around there, that's when they will like really take off and get wheels turning. So again, some of the Gardevior decks may fall into this category because again, Gardevior has different variants. Has the ones that are just trying to just get that damage on the Screamtail as fast as possible to then start taking knockouts and do that one prize trade. But then there's now a more controlly variant where they're running the Tree Monkey. So their goal is actually to just get everything set up and then start taking prizes when you fighting up to just do this one prize rate. And they can outvalue them because they can basically just dump energy and damage as fast as they can and way faster than most decks can out, even some of the aggro decks. Again, the weakness is they take a really long time to set up. And because it takes so long to set up, if you could get down to them quickly and you have enough threats on the board, usually by the time they set up it's too late and they can't really do much. And how to beat them? Again, you need to have a lot of early game pressure and you need to attack them on different fronts. So if it is you're putting damage on something in the front, you're putting damage on something in the back, you're setting up for the evolution play, you know what their strategy is, so you're putting things that could get around that. So you're trying to wall you in, you get something that could get through the wall. Again, aggro don't have those options because aggro is just the most efficient and quick creature. So they don't really get much in the way of ways to get around certain things, like Cornerstone Mass and Mimikyu. That's why early game like a straight Zard wouldn't beat like some of the control decks if they get to set up. But if they get out fast enough, they might be able to take those prizes before they even find a way to change through their cards and get to the Ogapon to block the Zard. That sort of thing. And one of the main things with the control, they have a lot of card selection and a lot of draw, so they can find the different pieces. But again, that takes time and that takes setup. So think of the Noctowl boxes, where they need to have the terror, they need to evolve, they find the pieces, and then they start stitching together a strategy to suit what's going on. Again, it has some that mid-range, and you can tell because they just trying to find a good play versus trying to fully set up really, really late in the game. So again, control is more turn 5 onwards or 6 onwards, that sort of thing. And the final part of this is paper, which is, and paper again, because it can change, it can bend paper however you want, and that's actually one of the very, very good strengths that we have with mid-range. Mid-range is very adaptable. It can be aggressive against the control decks, and it can have a bit of resilience against the aggro deck, so that when the aggro deck runs a steam, the mid-range decks just ready to just capitalize and take advantage of that. And against the control decks, they could put in some big threats on the board and try to fight it out, hopefully before they could set up. But again, usually control tends to win because their setup is usually stronger. So jack of all trades, master of none. Their goal is just to be flexible and to do more aggro against control, and against aggro, against control, they try to be a bit more aggro on them. So you're trying to be the weakness of whichever type of deck you're playing against. And these decks are like the Dragapult, the Teal Mask, Toadstrudel, where you see they trying to have a setup, but it doesn't take as long as lead. So like festival leads and slacking and that sort of stuff, where yes, they need some setup, but it's not overly complete. Something that you could like put together in 2 or 3 turns. So these usually turn 3 to 5. They set up and ready to attack, because that's the mid game in this format. Because we're in a format where we have maybe 7 turns, and 7 turns is a long game. So yeah, again, their weaknesses, they can be very, very weak to aggro at times, but they usually could beat aggro as they have bigger threats. But they have a severe weakness against control deck, because as they have more value and more pieces, they can actually last longer and take apart the mid-game strategies. Because while you see them setting up, you can figure out a way how to take it apart. Because again, control has way more options. But again, the strength being in the versatility of the deck. Excuse me, sorry about that. The versatility of the deck and the ability to adapt, and also being having a lot of power early game. Not extremely early game, but early enough that they can sometimes just run away with the game if you're not prepared. And how to play against them would be to try to get favorable trades or even trades. So like a 1-for-1 prize race or a 2-for-2 prize race, or trying to even get ahead of the prize race, so that by the time they start catching up, that you will be in a better position. If you take the first prize and you're exchanging, you might have a better chance at getting that last prize, regardless of the deck you're playing, versus if they get going first and they have you on the back foot, they keep the pressure on, and if you try to have a late game strategy, remember they're setting up as well. So yeah, that's basically it. So again, this is maybe useful as you try to figure out what's your strategy or what is type of deck you playing against. And even though you won't have the option of changing cards, you would know how to play against the deck. Because again, you could use the cards in your deck and adjust your strategy to suit. So you realize you're playing against a very aggressive deck, instead of trying to meet aggression with aggression, if possible, and you could actually fight through and stop that early game prizes, or block them off while you build up strength, and you can overwhelm them early. You have it. Or if it is you realize you come up against a control deck, well, I can't spend no time setting up. I need to start swinging as fast as possible. Let me get my prizes quickly, so that they don't get the chance to actually set up. Because as the pressure is on, they need to respond to it, and they have to use all the resources to respond to the threat. Or you realize playing against a mid-range deck, so you're like, alright, you have a couple of turns, you need to make sure that you set up either better than them or faster than them. So you use the cards you get in time, and you try your best to just act accordingly. Because again, pretty easy. Rock, paper, scissors. Rock, scissors. Scissors cuts paper. Paper covers rock. The very aggressive and strong decks always be the smart and really long-term strategies, because again, they get into that quickly. And lastly, the smart strategies and all of that, they beat the middle strategies, because again, jack of all trades, master of none. But the jack of all trades able to actually fight and live against the aggro, and then overpower them while they're out of energy. So again, that paper just covers the rock, drains them of energy, they can't go anywhere, and there you go, rock, paper, scissors. I hope you find this a bit insightful, and yeah, I hope to see you all soon. Stay tuned, and we'll see you on the next Beyond the Meta, and bye.